Hi. Now let's say you've created your circle and your rectangle and you've got them moving. They're moving fine, but they need to bounce back. Okay. So what we do is, well, first of all, how about let's look at a method of saving a bit of space. If you put a semicolon, so normally semicolons are optional at the end of a line, but if you want to have two statements on the one line, then you have to put a semicolon in there. So I'm going to do that just so that I can save a bit of space and make things a bit easier to read. I might also change my font size because I don't really think we need it that big. So I'll go to 20. We'll see how we go with that. So things fit on a bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use some if statements. So what I will put here after this line is if, open round bracket, rect x, so if the x coordinate is greater than 300, the size of my screen is 300, what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to reset to 0. So rect equals 0. So if it's greater than 300, reset it back to 0. And you can do the same thing with the y. Now, once again, I will copy and paste this because that saves me a bit of typing. And I'll say if the y coordinate is greater than 300, oops, that should be an x and a y, then reset it to 0. So let's see what happens. So sure enough, it goes down there and suddenly it appears there. Now you might think to yourself, okay, that's great. It reappears back up at the 0. But what I want it to do is to bounce. So if you want it to bounce, when you think about it, what you're asking is, instead of always taking steps of 1, you want it suddenly to take steps of -1. So the way to do that is we need to have a step thing. So I will go step x equals 1, and I will say step y equals -1. So I'll put that at the start of the program. And what I might do is I might also get rid of the circle. It's just kind of getting a little bit in the way since we're really into doing rectangles at the moment, just to make a bit of space. Okay, so I've just got rectangles here. Now, if it's greater than 300, what I wanted to do is not change the x coordinate back to 0, but to change the step x to -1. So step x becomes -1. And the same here. Step y becomes -1. And here, instead of always adding 1, we add step x and step y. So here we're adding the x and the y, which at the beginning of the program, oops, that's wrong. That should be a +1. Sorry about that. So step x and step y are 1 at the start. Once it goes bigger than 300, step x and step y will go to -1. So let's try that. There's our rectangle. And sure enough, it bounces back. And then disappears off in the negative direction. So to handle that, what you can do is you can copy and paste these two lines. If you think about it, if rectangle X is less than 0, then we want it to be just a step of 1. And if the Y is less than 0, please change the step of Y back to 1. Let's see what happens. So off we go down to that corner, we bounce back. We go up to the top corner, and sure enough, this is bouncing. Now, if you want your bounces to be faster, your movements to be faster, then instead of -1, you could have maybe, you change everything to a 5, like this, and that will make things go a little bit quicker. Let's give that a go. There we are. So I hope you enjoyed that. And from this, you can create other shapes. They don't have to move diagonally. Some can move just across, only in the X, and some can move up and down in the Y. But from this, you can create many shapes and have them all flying across the screen.